They refused to reimburse my 20 pounds parking, so I cost them hundreds instead. I'm based in the UK and often have to travel by train to our head office for work. Normally, I take public transport to the station since I live within walking distance of local connections, and I usually just pay the small cost of those tickets myself without bothering to expense them. However, shortly after moving house, I had a day where I needed to get back quickly after my return train arrived because I had an important appointment. To make sure I wouldn't be late, I decided to drive to the train station and leave my car in the car park for the day. Like a responsible employee, I submitted my expenses afterward, including the 20 pounds parking receipt. It was admittedly more expensive than my usual public transport ticket, but I assumed it would be a straightforward reimbursement. Instead, I received an email informing me that, according to the company's travel and expense policy, I couldn't claim any driving-related expenses unless I first completed a special driving for work at a station and provided updated proof that my personal car insurance covered driving for work purposes. This wasn't even a work trip by car. I had simply driven to the station, but apparently that didn't matter. Getting the additional insurance would have cost me money personally, so I decided it wasn't worth it. Fine, I thought, keep the 20 pounds. But if the company wanted strict compliance with the travel and expense policy, then I would follow that policy to the letter. From that moment on, the usual 2-hour 52-minute train I took suddenly became inconvenient, and instead I began booking a slightly longer 3-hour 4-minute train. According to the policy, any train journey longer than 3 hours qualifies for first-class travel, so naturally I started booking first-class tickets. Since the journey time now exceeded 3 hours, the policy also made me eligible for overnight stays, which meant I could book a hotel when traveling and submit expenses for dinner because I was away from home. And of course, the policy also allows for reasonable travel expenses, including taxes during unsociable hours. So that early 6 a.m. bus ride to the station turned into a comfortable 6:30 a.m. Uber. And the late 10 p.m. bus ride when I got home also became another Uber, usually costing around 40 pounds, which was about 10 times what I used to spend on public transport. By the time everything was said and done, the company ended up paying several times more for my trips to the head office than they ever had before, all because they refused to reimburse a simple 20 pounds parking receipt. I guess sometimes policies are written to save money, but when employees follow them exactly as written, they can end up costing a lot more. So in the end, I didn't get my 20 pounds back, but I did learn one very satisfying lesson. If a company insists on strict policy compliance, sometimes the best response is to give them exactly what they asked for. If you enjoyed this story, let me know what you would have done in the same situation down in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more real-life stories about workplace rules, petty revenge, and malicious compliance.
The girl who saved her inherited land thanks to strangers on the internet.
I'm a 32-year-old woman who was born and raised in Kibra, a slum area in Kenya. Life was never easy for us, but it wasn't completely hopeless either. We didn't have much money, but we had family. And most importantly, my grandfather left us something that meant everything to him: land. My grandfather owned 32 acres of land. Before he passed away, he divided it among his 3 grandchildren, my 2 brothers and me. To this day, I'm not entirely sure why he made that decision, but my mother always says one thing: you were the ones who stayed by his side when he needed help. When my grandfather developed dementia, he forgot many things. Sometimes he couldn't even recognize people, but strangely enough, he never forgot our names. Even on his worst days, he could still say the names of his 3 grandchildren. Maybe that's why he left the land to us. Before he passed away, the land had already been divided. My older brother, as the firstborn, received the largest portion. My younger brother and I received smaller parcels. At the time, no one argued about it, not the relatives, not even my grandfather's own children. Everything was peaceful. Until last year.
The decision that started everything.
Last year, my younger brother made a decision that shocked everyone. He wanted to sell his land. He said he wanted to move to the city and start a business. He had big dreams and believed he could build a better life. My mother cried. My older brother warned him again and again. Even some of our relatives tried to stop him. Everyone told him the same thing. Once land is gone, you can never replace it. But he had already made up his mind. He sold the land, and to be honest, I think he sold it for far less than it was worth. At first, things seemed promising. He opened a small business and talked about big plans for the future. But reality turned out to be very different. Just a few months later, the business collapsed. The money was gone. Within a year, he had nothing left. The night he knocked on my door. A few months ago, there was a knock on my door one evening. When I opened it, my younger brother was standing there. He looked exhausted. We sat down and talked for a while. Then there was a long silence. Finally, he looked at me and said, "Sis, could you give me half of your land?" For a moment, I didn't know what to say. Then he continued, "I just need enough space to build a house. I need a place to start over." I felt sorry for him. I truly did. But deep down, something didn't feel right. So I answered calmly, "You already had land. You chose to sell it. It wouldn't be fair for me to give up mine." His face changed immediately. And what he said next shocked me. "You're being selfish. We're siblings. We're supposed to help each other." The pressure begins. The next day, my mother spoke to me. "You're not even married yet," she said. "You don't need that much land." Soon other relatives started saying the same things. Family land should stay within the family. Don't abandon your brother when he's struggling. He made a mistake. Are you going to punish him for it? But no one asked me a single question. What were my plans? Because I did have plans. Within a few years, I wanted to build a house on that land. I wanted to start a small farm and build a life there. But if I gave away half of it, all of those plans would disappear. What my older brother told me. After all the pressure, I went to my older brother for advice. His answer was short and clear. Don't give up your land. Then he said something that really made me think. If you let our younger brother settle on your land, you could lose everything. I was confused. So he explained. In our culture, when a man settles on land and builds a house there, over time he can begin to claim rights to that land. And I'm a woman. My brother said it directly. Once a man establishes himself on your land, it becomes almost impossible to make him leave later. That was the moment when everything started to make sense. The question people keep asking, many people ask me one thing. Why doesn't your younger brother build his house on your older brother's land? There's a cultural reason for that too. My older brother has already started building what we call a simba. A simba is the first house a man built on his own land. It marks his territory as the head of that part of the family. If another adult man built a house there, it can be seen as a claim to that land. That's why my older brother would never allow it. In fact, he joked with me once and said, "If anyone is going to build a house on my land, it would make more sense for it to be you rather than our younger brother." But I already have my own land. The truth of the situation. Many people assumed this was a legal dispute. It isn't. Before my grandfather died, he had already divided the land and registered the titles for each parcel in our names. That's why my younger brother was able to sell his land so easily, and I have the title to mine as well. So legally, everything is clear. This isn't about the law. It's about family pressure. My decision, for now, my decision hasn't changed. I love my brother, and I feel sorry for my mother, but I can't sacrifice my future to fix a mistake that someone else chose to make. Giving away half of my land won't undo his decision. It will only put my own life at risk, and sometimes saying no is the only way to protect yourself. And the ironic part is this. Thanks to the support of complete strangers on the internet, a girl managed to protect the land she inherited from her family. Thank you to everyone who listened to this story. If something like this happened to you, what would you do? Would you give your land to your sibling, or would you protect what was left to you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd really love to hear what you think. And if you enjoy stories like this one, don't forget to subscribe and follow for more real-life stories and dramatic family situations.